Okay, so you're working in R on a Mac, and the file.choose option is not going to be the greatest way to call in big data sets on newer versions of the Mac operating systems. It'll get hung up and you'll get that little like spinning beach ball or whatever it is for a long time. So I'm going to show you here how to put your data into a specific folder and then point your R console to that folder. That's going to be called its working directory, okay? So you've got R pulled up, and let's go ahead and start by creating some folder where you're going to keep all your data sets this semester. So I put mine on this desktop. I called it Management Science 291, and I did that just by right-clicking, or it's a two-finger click if you've got a trackpad, and new folder, and then I just named it what I wanted, okay? And if I open up this folder, you can see that I have this wine data set in here that I want to call into R, okay? So I don't want to use the file.choose because this is a big data set and that's going to take quite a while and it might just get hung up kind of indefinitely. So I want to create this working directory. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, once you're clicked in your R console, you'll have your R menus up here. So then choose File, New Document. We'll work with a script editor. Okay, so I've got the script editor pulled up, and what I'm going to use is the set working directory command. So I'm going to do set WD, I'm going to open parentheses, I'm going to open quotes, and I need to give it what's called the path to find this file. Okay, so I'm going to tell it what folder specifically to look in for this data file. So to find your path on a Mac, go to the name of that file. So over here, I'm going to right click, which is two-finger click on a trackpad, and do get info, okay? So it pulls up a bunch of information on the file. A lot of it we don't need right now, but you can see in the general portion up here at the top, I want to copy this path name in the where section, okay? So I highlighted it. I'm going to hit Command C to copy it. And then I'm going to come over here to my script editor, and I'm going to put that cursor in between those quotes and hit Command V so I can paste that. Now notice over here in the where information, it said Macintosh HD, and then this little triangle arrow users, triangle arrow Hendrix, la 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 la, right? And it took this path and it formatted it into the path the way that I need it for R to use it, okay? So it started with /users / the name of the account that I'm using on my computer, which is called Hendrix. And then it tells it to look on the desktop, and then in the desktop it tells it to look in the folder called Management Science 291. Now, if yours did not paste this way, if it pasted exactly like it shows over here with these weird little triangle arrows, then you'll just do something just a tiny bit different. You're going to come back over here to your console, and you're going to ask it to tell you what the current working directory is by using the get working directory function, get WD, and open and close your parentheses and hit enter. And it should give you a path that starts with the /users, okay? So what you'll do is you'll copy and paste that up here on in your set working directory command, and then you'll manually type in the / and the rest of the path that you see over here in your get info where section. All right, hopefully that was clear. All right, so now I'm going to put my cursor anywhere on this line in my script file and hit Command Return, and it executes that line of code over here in my console. I'm going to check to make sure that it actually did change my working directory, and I'm going to up arrow twice, so I don't have to type in that line of code. And voila, it did point R to that folder on my desktop. So now how do I tell it to read in that data set inside the folder? Well, I'm going to come up here to my script file, and I'm going to go to the next line, and I'm going to give it the line of code to call in the data file. So I'm going to call the object wine in R, and I'm going to use my isDefinedToBe symbol, which is >dash, and I'm going to use our old friend, the read.csv function, and instead of file.choose, I'm going to open some quotes and type the name of this file exactly as it appears in the folder. So capital W on the wine, do a space. Mine has a space and it has that 3 in parentheses. So I'm going to type that out right now. Okay, so I think that's right. And I'm going to hit Command Return. And notice it executes the line of code over here in my console. And I already have my command prompt with my cursor, which means it's already done reading in that file, way faster than the file.choose option. So now I'm just going to check to make sure it read in correctly and use the structure function, str, on my object line. And I can see that it has read in. Now, I've made a classic mistake here on purpose to kind of demonstrate one more time. Notice that the countries should be reading in as factors, but they're reading in as characters. So I have forgotten to put my strings equals true in my read.csv call. So a lot of you are going to make that mistake. So I just wanted to point this out for you now again. So if I type the strings equals true command in here, then it's going to read in that character data as factors. So I'm going to be clicked anywhere in that line, and I'm going to execute that line of code again. And it's going to call it into R. This one's taking just a second longer. And this time, if I up arrow twice, okay, I've got my cursor again. So I'm going to up arrow twice and run the structure function again. And now that I've used strings equals true in that read.csv function, I have my characters reading in as factors, which is what I want. Okay, now how do you use this the next time you log into R? Well, first, click in your script editor, and then you're going to go up here to File and save that anywhere you want. So I'm just going to plunk mine on the desktop. I'm going to call it setwd so I can remember what's in this R script file, and I'm going to hit save. And then I can close out my script editor, and then I can close out my R console and don't have to worry about saving any of the objects. That doesn't save your code, it only saves the objects. So I recommend don't save. You don't want to clutter up your memory on your computer. Okay, so the next time you come back to finish an assignment or whatever, you're going to open up R, and to get all your work back, you're going to go up here to File, Open Document this time, and you can just double click the script file. It pulls right back up, and then you can just highlight all of your code and command return, and it'll set your working directory for you again because that code is right in there. And then you're calling in your data set again. So it's taken just a second. And boom, you have all the work that we did before in one click, basically. Okay, now for future data sets that you download for assignments for this class, just plunk them in your folder that you created. Mine's called Management Science 291, and then just run this first line, this set working directory command, as soon as you open up your next session, and then you can just use the read.csv function with the exact spelling of the file in quotes, and it'll pull it in very seamlessly for you. Now, one last thing I'll say before we end this video. For your case that uses R, you're going to be required to paste all the lines of code that you use to answer the questions. And so the script file that I give you to open will start with like paste code to call in your data here. And so you're going to paste these two lines, okay, into that section of that script file. This one shows me that you know how to access your working directory, and this one, and that you used your computer and everything, and this one shows me that you know how to call the data in from that folder, okay? So I would expect both of these lines in that area on your script file. And then you'll have a bunch of lines that are like hashtag question 1, and you'll put your code for that here. Hashtag maybe question 2 doesn't use any code, so whatever question I prompt here is the ones that you need to give me the code for. Okay? All right, so I hope this helps you to use a Mac and get your data called in.